Now, most of you work for a living and pay taxes, so you're not watching television or listening to radio all day long. And these leftists all over cable, all over network news and so forth, all sound alike because they're leftists. They're ideologues, and that's why they sound alike in the media. And just as the killing of Khashoggi in Turkey in the Saudi Arabia consulate is Donald Trump's fault, apparently so is the fact that it looks like more than 7,000 to me, but 7,000 illegal aliens are heading for our border. And, the storyline is that Donald Trump is politicizing it, and he's stoking fear. And you may not know this, but through September so far this year, over 400,000 illegal aliens have been stopped at our border. This is an invasion. The media do not want to describe it as an invasion because remember what I told you the other day. We used to talk about the media being an appendage of the Democrat Party. It's actually the other way around. The Democrat Party is an appendage of the media. It's an appendage of the media. And the media narrative here is that if you oppose illegal immigration, people just marching from one country to the next into your own country, we have no idea who they are, no idea if any of them are criminals. Well, actually, we do. Some of them have been deported and so forth. If you oppose that, then you're a racist. And if you object to it, and you're a politician, you're fear-mongering. You're fear-mongering. I want you to listen to this montage that Trump's midterm election strategy is fear and lies. Most of these people are with CNN. Some of them are with MSNBC, but most of them are with CNN. I want you to listen to this. Cut one, go.
I want to show you the big headline in the Washington Post this morning. Trump and Republicans settle on fear and falsehoods as a midterm strategy. Fear, and in some cases, lying.
There's something truly wrong with a leader who lies so much about everything. But the lies about public policy, the lies meant to divide our country, to hurt specific people or groups of people, those lies should disgust other elected Republicans. Where are you?
So what's going on here? Are the president's lies becoming more brazen? Does he not know what he's saying? This is not rhetorical. What's going on with the president? Is his grip on reality loosening?
This is a base election, and it's a fear election.
Why is Donald Trump so frightened? Why is he so scared? Why is he being so pathetic and little right now? So small, so tiny that he's having to create these lies.
He has taken us to a place where untruth is the order of the day.
We're officially, it appears, in a fact-free zone. President Trump campaigning like it's 2016 all over again, where fear is driving his political message and the truth goes by the wayside.
See, this is propaganda. You repeat the big lie over and over and over again. You use the same words over and over and over again. Vast majority of these people are on CNN, not all of them. Some of them are actually called reporters and anchors and hosts. Does this sound like news to you? Senior White House correspondent on Good Morning America today, Cecilia Vega. Hat tip newsbusters. Cut two, go.
Let me just give you some perspective here. This so-called national emergency actually really represents about 0.06% of all the undocumented people already in this country. So we are talking about a very small fraction of people here. But the president is hoping that this is a winning strategy, the same strategy.
Now stop. This is a news reporter. This is the White House correspondent, the senior White House correspondent for ABC News, Good Morning America. Go ahead.
In the White House to help give Republicans an edge in the midterms, and that strategy is stoking fears about immigration.
There you go. This is also an attack on you, you see, because you're so stupid that the president is able to cause you to be fearful and scared. You're so stupid you can't process what's actually taking place. And besides, it's only 0.06% of all undocumented people already in this country. The irony is that there's so many illegal aliens in this country 7,000 or whatever the number is marching to our southern border, to this reporter, simply no big deal. Peter Alexander, another White House correspondent, this time on the Today Show, that would be NBC, had tipped Newsbusters, cut 3, go.
Yes, Savannah, you're right. I mean, what's striking here is the economy's strong, unemployment is low, but instead of talking about his achievements these days, the president really is leaning into this message of fear.
Fear, stop. This is another journalist. So instead of talking about the economy, which of course the media never talk about, instead of talking about the economy, which the media could care less about, the president is stoking. He's leaning into his message of fear. Not law and order, mind you. Of course, it is law and order, but it's fear, you see. Go ahead.
Argument focuses on stoking these fears of illegal immigration, MS-13, shadowy Middle Eastern figures.
Let's just wait a minute. I happen to live in a community where MS-13 is a huge problem. Maybe these people don't. But MS-13 is a huge and growing problem in a lot of states and metropolitan areas. It's no joke. It's MS-13 that stokes fear, not the President of the United States. Go ahead.
It's what he's been trying to do recently to try to motivate his base of support, his voters. To
now stop. See, it's all about motivating you because, you see, ladies and gentlemen, unless you are absolutely emotionally out of your minds, you're not going to vote. You're not going to vote. And yet, is not immigration a key issue? Is it not an important issue? It may not be an important issue to phony journalists, to phony anchors, to phony hosts, to phony reporters. But it is an important issue to men and women who go to work every day, try to raise their families, and live in communities that are exposed to this. It is to people who break their ass every day, paying their property taxes, and in some states where we have income taxes, most states. And so much of that money goes to individuals who are here illegally. It matters to people who are construction workers. It matters to people who are truck drivers and taxi drivers. It matters to people who work with their hands. Many people who work with their hands. None of these reporters work with their hands, at least not above the table. Go ahead.
Democrats from winning back the House or the Senate or both. Obviously, what's crucial in this circumstance here is that the president recognizes that he is up against a wall right here.
This is a reporter. Now, Gloria Borger is on CNN today, utterly and completely predictable. But we need to hear from Gloria Borger because she's on CNN all the time. Cut 4, go.
You know, I'm old enough to remember 2016, and this is 2016 all
Notice
over
they
again.
keep bringing up, many of them, 2016. Because they believe it was an illegitimate election by all of us stupid people who came out and voted for Trump because we're racists, we're xenophobes, we're homophobes, and on and on and on. Just notice how they keep trashing you. Even more than Trump, it's you. This is 2016 all over again. An illegitimate election, illegitimate issues. Look at this. Look at the race baiting. Look what's going on. Race baiting. You have thousands of people who've told us what they plan to do, marching to our border. They're from Honduras and El Salvador and Guatemala and other countries. There's no race baiting. They're identified. Race baiting is what we saw during the Kavanaugh hearings. By the left, the Democrats, and the media. Go ahead.
And Republicans are feeling good because if you start with Kavanaugh and then you know, something switched after Kavanaugh and the president is now on the campaign trail, rallying up the base, getting them out to vote. And you see in the poll numbers that suddenly Republican voters are almost as energized as Democrats. Not quite, but almost as energized as Democrats were as before this fear-mongering, Before this
fear-mongering, Kavanaugh, how are we fear-mongering? And how's the president fear-mongering now? He's plain-spoken, just like Harry Truman. He's explaining what's taking place. There's an invasion taking place. 7,000 people who wish to come across the border illegally. What the hell do you call it? A parade? Go ahead.
They were like, okay, I'm going to sit at home. And what Trump is doing is getting them out to vote by telling them, if you don't, you should be very, very scared.
You're an idiot. Absolute buffoon. And notice none of these people live in the areas that are most affected by these immigration policies, or I should say, these illegal policies, actions that are taking place. None of them, not one of them. Senator Ben Cardin, he's a complete buffoon out of Maryland, one-party state in many respects. Of course, he's on CNN today, too. Now, tell me if he doesn't sound like one of these so-called reporters or anchors or hosts on CNN. Cut 5, go.
Well, President Trump clearly appeals to some of the worst fears in America, some of the worst behaviors. So,
first of all, can this guy talk? Good job, Marilyn. Go ahead.
Yes, I am concerned that it does get a group of people with nationalist sentiments.
So nationalist sentiments, what do they mean are Nazis? You see, you're a neo-Nazi with nationalist sentiments. You're a neo-Nazi if you say, secure the damn border, we're a sovereign nation, come through the front door, follow our immigration laws that you idiots in Congress passed, uphold the rules. You must be a neo-Nazi and a racist. He's appealing to, the nationalist sentiments. It's appealing to the rule of law. Go ahead.
Not what America stands for.
America doesn't stand for the rule of law? This guy's a lawmaker. He ought to be a lawbreaker. Go ahead.
The truth when he talks about the people that are in the caravan.
It's not a caravan. It's not a parade. It's an invasion. Caravan. Like it's some kind of Halloween parade. Or, hey, look at this caravan. That's quite a not a caravan. Go ahead.
Presented the immigrant community here in America as far as their violations of laws. So he has made a case by misstating
shut up, you idiot. There you are, United States Senator. I'll be right back. Now, I want you to hear what the Democrats said 20 years ago. In some cases, 15 years ago. Fear-mongering racists, neo-Nazis, obviously. Here's a montage. It's about just a few minutes. How much time do I have, Rich? Well, let's not use that one. Let's start with Bill Clinton's 1995 State of the Union. Cut 17, go.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country.
Oh.
The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers.
No.
That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by
he sounds like Donald Trump, doesn't he? Oh, my goodness. Racist neo-Nazi, obviously. Go ahead.
To illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace.
You hear this, Latinos? Democrat Party goes either way. They'll use you like they've used African Americans, like they've used poor white people in the rural areas of the country. This is a Democrat Party that uses race. Democrat Party that was the party of slavery and segregation. The Democrat Party that was the party of Jim Crow and poll taxes and literacy tests. Now it's the Democrat Party that attacks old white people and wants to use Latinos and African Americans to hold on to power. It's the same party. It's the party of power, centralizing government, anti-constitutionalist. Go ahead.
Headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately cheating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
Oh. I don't remember the media calling him racist, fear-mongering, scary. I don't remember that. Do you? Here's Obama on illegal immigration. A little over 10 years ago. Cut 18, go.
We all agree on the need to better secure the border and to punish employers who choose to hire illegal immigrants. We are a generous and
Wait a minute. Excuse me. Undocumented immigrants. Isn't that the line now? Undocumented. That Obama. Racist, neo-Nazi language like that is very off-putting. Go ahead.
United States, but those who enter the country illegally and those who employ them disrespect the rule of law, and they are...
The rule of law? Well, I just heard Gloria Borger, whatever the hell her name is, and I heard them over Today's Show and Good Morning America, and all the rest of them telling us, no. This is fear-mongering. This is race-baiting. Barack Milhouse Benito Obama, go ahead.
Disregard for those who are following the law. We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, and lawfully to become immigrants in this country.
Anybody remember the media trashing him for those comments when he was a United States Senator? Anybody? Of course not. How about Bill Clinton? Anybody remember the media trashing him in 1995? Of course not. More when I return. Let us now move back as we expose the Democrats, expose the media, and we're going to expose more in a moment. No, not like that. Now, you recall Harry Reid, the famous 41 seconds of Harry Reid on the Senate floor in 1933. It's really not that long ago. I meant 1993, although you wonder with him. 1993. Cut 19, go.
If making it easy to be an illegal alien isn't enough, how about offering a reward for being an illegal immigrant? No sane country would do that, right? Guess again. If you break our laws by entering this country without permission and give birth to a child, we reward that child with U.S. citizenship and guarantee of full access to all public and social services this society provides. And that's a lot of services. Is it any wonder that 2/3 of the babies born at taxpayer expense at county-run hospitals in Los Angeles are born to illegal alien mothers?
Wow, again, I don't remember the media trashing him, do you? Or the phrase racist or neo-Nazi being thrown around and aimed at his supporters, do you? Of course not. Here's a montage put together some time ago by my buddy Sean on flip-flopping Democrats. In particular, you'll hear Chuck Schumer. Cut 16, go.
People who enter the United States without our permission are illegal aliens, and illegal aliens should not be...
See, now they use the phrase illegal alien. Today you're not allowed to use that phrase. You're just not allowed. Why? Because the left says we're not allowed to use it. The media, the Democrats, academia, Hollywood, we're not allowed to use phrases that they ban. So we're not allowed to say illegal alien. They were saying it up 10 years ago, 13 years ago, 20 years ago. These people are aliens and they're here illegally. Illegal alien. No, you don't understand. They're undocumented. Just preposterous. And it's preposterous how they control the narrative. Go ahead.
People who enter the United States without our permission are illegal aliens, and illegal aliens should not be treated the same as people who entered the U.S. legally.
The President's decision to end DACA was heartless and it was brainless.
When we use phrases like undocumented workers, we convey a message to the American people that their government is not serious about combating illegal immigration.
Hundreds of thousands of families will be ripped apart.
If you don't think it's illegal, you're not going to say it. I think it is illegal and wrong.
Tens of thousands of American businesses will lose hardworking employees.
A biometric-based employer verification system with tough enforcement and auditing is necessary to significantly diminish the job magnet that attracts illegal aliens to the United States. They may have known no other country but ours and have voluntarily registered themselves. All illegal aliens present in the United States on the date of enactment of our bill must quickly register their presence with the United States government.
It's amazing, all these liberal Democrat racists, isn't it? All these old white supremacist types using phrases, like they're appealing to nationalist instincts. Go ahead.
Imminent deportation.
And the argument there, Mr. President,
this is Bernie Sanders.
Americans don't want to do the work. We just can't find American workers to do the work. Mr. President, that is a crock in many instances. It's just not true. In my view, Trump's decision to end the DACA program for some 800,000 young people is the cruelest and most ugly presidential act in the modern history of this country. I cannot think of one single act which is uglier and more cruel. We have all been educated that economics is about supply and demand. If you don't get the workers you want, you raise wages and you raise benefits. You don't simply open the door and bring in other workers at low wages.
So I believe absolutely that we have to move aggressively toward comprehensive immigration reform. I will end the deportations.
Poverty is increasing, and if wages are going down, I don't know why we need millions of people to be coming into this country as guest workers who will work for lower wages than American workers and drive wages down even lower than they are right now.
But we have to send a clear message. Just because your child gets across the border, that doesn't mean the child gets to stay. So we don't want to send a message that is contrary to our laws or will encourage more children to make that dangerous journey.
So I will fight for comprehensive immigration reform and a path to citizenship. I will fight to stop partisan attacks on the executive actions that would put dreamers, including those with us today, at risk of deportation. And if Congress continues to refuse to act as president, I would do everything possible under the law to go even further.
We've got to do several things, and I am, adamantly against illegal immigrants. People have to stop employing illegal immigrants. Come up to Westchester, go to Suffolk and Nassau counties, stand in the street corners in Brooklyn or the Bronx. You're going to see loads of people waiting to get picked up to go do yard work and construction work and domestic work. This is not a problem that the people who are coming into the country are solely responsible for. They wouldn't be coming if we didn't put them to work.
My proposal will keep families together, and it will include a path to citizenship.
The number of immigrants added to the labor force every year is of a magnitude not seen in this country for over a century. If this huge influx of mostly low-skilled workers provides some benefits to the economy as a whole, it also threatens to depress further the wages of blue-collar Americans and puts strains on an already overburdened safety net.
Immigrants aren't the principal reason wages haven't gone up.
There are those in the immigrants' rights community who have argued passionately that we should simply provide those who are illegally with legal status, or at least ignore the laws on the books and put an end to deportation until we have better laws. But I believe such an indiscriminate approach would be both unwise and unfair. It would suggest to those thinking about coming here illegally that there will be no repercussions for such a decision. And this could lead to a surge in more illegal immigration. These are students, they're teachers, they're doctors, they're lawyers. They're Americans in every way but on paper. Those who enter the country illegally and those who employ them disrespect the rule of law, and they are showing disregard for those who are following the law. We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, and lawfully to become immigrants.
Real reform means establishing a responsible pathway to earn citizenship.
So you see, ladies and gentlemen, the media change their position, the Democrats change their position. They work hand in glove. They work hand in glove. The media, the mouthpiece for the progressive movement, and the Democrats, the activist base for the progressive movement. You heard Obama, Bernie Sanders, Chuck Schumer, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Harry Reid. These are not just any Democrats. These are leaders. Bill Clinton was president. Obama was president. Schumer's the Democrat leader in the Senate. Sanders is the leading progressive. Harry Reid, of course, was the Democrat leader in the Senate. What changed over a period of a few years? Well, the objectives of the Democrat Party and the left changed. They used to be protectionists, trying to protect the AFL-CIO and all the unions under that umbrella. Then the AFL-CIO and many of the unions under that umbrella, not all, decided that in order to increase their members, they needed to tap into immigration and particularly illegal immigration. And that way they could increase their dues. Democrats also figured out amnesty after amnesty after amnesty leads to citizenship after citizenship after citizenship, and they're counting on 70% of people who come in here illegally eventually being citizens and voting for them. There was a report out the other day the Democrats are concerned that the Latino vote won't turn out as they expect. The Democrat Party is not a united party. The Democrat Party, since FDR, is a party of disparate groups and disparate special interests. That's why it'll never give up on LGB and so forth. That's why it'll never give up on race. That's why it'll never give up on income redistribution. It can't, or it ceases to have its purpose. It cannot exist. It cannot exist. And in order to get their base out, these disparate groups, disparate special interests, it has to keep banging the pots and pans. And the media, that's the institution through which it's done. Now, the media didn't trash any of these 6 individuals at any time about any of their positions on immigration. Now, if Good Morning America truly was doing a news segment, if the Today Show was truly doing a news segment, if CNN was truly doing a news segment, they'd be doing exactly what I just did. But it's all Trump, Trump, Trump. Trump, you see, is fear-mongering. Trump is politicizing. And yet, look at these Democrats. And look at the media. The media takes sides. The media advocates for certain policies and positions. And it's not just CNN and not just MSNBC. There's some of them on Fox, too. It's true. One more. I don't have time for it until we come back after the break. The great Barbara Jordan in 1995. I've played it before, but I want to close the circle since this is now a hot issue for the media to try and trash the president and even more, trash the president's supporters. Because they fear, what did they say? Another 2016 election. We can't have that, you know. I'll be right back. The left does what's expedient for the left's power and glory. The conservative defends our founding principles. The left doesn't give a damn about our founding principles. Now, they'll say they do, but they don't. The left doesn't give a damn about our founding principles. Look how unserious the left is when it comes to immigration. First, they want to secure the border. Then they want to deport people. Now they don't vote to secure the border. Now they don't want to deport people. How does that change in 10, 15, 20 years? Well, they've decided that the way to gain power, keep power, enhance power is to change the citizenry and to change the voter. And if you object, then you're attacked. If you object to their anti-capitalist degrowth efforts, they call it climate change, you're attacked. That you deny science, even though they pervert science. If you oppose the destruction of our healthcare system, what was and has been the greatest healthcare system on the face of the earth, then you're attacked as somebody who doesn't believe people should have access to quality health care. And it goes on and on and on. If you believe in a strong military, then you're obviously a colonialist and an imperialist. If you believe in strong and backing law enforcement, well, obviously you're anti-minority. You can't even have legitimate debates with these people. And the reason is because their ideology is illegitimate. It's a dangerous, dangerous ideology. Barbara Jordan was a congresswoman, I believe, from Houston or the Houston area. A lovely, lovely person. A liberal, but a very sensible liberal. I know that sounds like a contradiction in terms, but, you know, not like the whack jobs like Adam Schiff or Maxine Waters or that sort. No. She was a very, very thoughtful person. And I want you to listen to what she said. She was the chairperson of the commission that was looking into immigration in 1995, and they issued a really terrific report. And here, in part, is what she had to say about it. Go ahead.
We recognize that there are costs as well as benefits to legal immigration, and some of the costs are associated with the impact of immigrants on localities to which they migrate in disproportionately large numbers.
Now let's stop right there. She's even talking about legal immigration, not even illegal immigration, and she's raising some significant issues respecting legal immigration. Okay, go ahead.
You know that you can look at a map of the country and identify where there's a concentration of immigrants. When immigrants are less well-educated and less skilled, they may pose economic hardships for the most vulnerable of Americans, particularly those who are unemployed or underemployed. Immigrants sometimes utilize public services disproportionately, as in the case of elderly immigrants.
All right, and she goes on in beautiful eloquence as she talks about this, and that's why that'll never be played on MSNBC or CNN, never be played on ABC, CBS, or NBC, never played on the Today Show or Good Morning America or any of the rest of it. I'll be right back. We had to cut off the Barbara Jordan clip in the middle, and I don't want to do that. She was a very classy lady, very sharp. She was head of this commission on immigration and providing policy advice in 1995. It's not that long ago, a little over 20 years ago. And I would ask Ben Cardin if he thinks that Barbara Jordan was a racist with nationalist tendencies. I would ask Cecilia Vega, senior White House correspondent on Good Morning America, the same thing. I would ask Peter Alexander, White House correspondent on the Today Show. I would ask Gloria Bolger on the CNN on Today Show. On that show. Mika Brzezinski, John Berman, Allison Camerata, Jeff Zeleny, Carl Bernstein, Kate Bolden, Joe Scarborough. Who's out of sync here, ladies and gentlemen? Who has no morals? Who has no principles? It is the people I just listed. They all say the same thing. They all say the same thing. But here's what Barbara Jordan said in 1995. Cut 20, go.
We recognize that there are costs as well as benefits to legal immigration, and some of the costs are associated with the impact of immigrants on localities to which they migrate in disproportionately large numbers.
I want to remind you that she's talking about legal immigrants. Illegal immigrants, she had absolutely no tolerance for the notion of illegal immigrants, Barbara Jordan. Democrat, liberal, from Houston. And honestly, look what's taking place in Los Angeles today with these tent cities. It's incredible. And you're not even allowed to point it out. You're not even allowed to say we're importing, in many respects, the culture of the third world. Because the left and the institutions that they control, many of them, if not most of them, doesn't support assimilation. It supports tribalization and balkanization. Why? For the reason I said last hour. That's what the Democrat Party is. It is a loose confederacy of disparate parts based on race, based on faith, the lack of faith, based on genitalia, what you do with your genitalia, and on and on and on. When you really think about it, the institution of the Democrat Party is so contrary to Americanism. And if I had one piece of advice to the president, of course he doesn't care what I have to say, I'm just saying, rather than nationalist, call yourself an Americanist if you wish. I don't know if I'm coining the term or not, because that's what you mean. When you say putting America first, making America great again. Nationalist is somebody who believes in a big, powerful, centralized government. The national government. But we're Americans, right? We're not government citizens, we're American citizens. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Go ahead.
You know that you can look at a map of the country and identify where there's a concentration of immigrants. When immigrants are less well educated and less skilled, they may pose economic hardships for the most vulnerable of Americans, particularly those who are unemployed or underemployed. Immigrants sometimes utilize public services disproportionately, as in the case of elderly immigrants. What the Commission is concerned about are the unskilled workers in our society in an age in which unskilled workers have far too few opportunities open to them, and to which welfare reform will require thousands to find more jobs, and the Commission sees no justification to the continued entry of unskilled foreign workers unless the rationale for their admission otherwise serves a significant national interest, as does the admission of nuclear family members and refugees.
And let me stop there. What she says earlier, and I don't have time to play the whole thing, is we should prioritize the entrance legally of nuclear families and real refugees. Not poor people from the third world, not illiterate people from the third world, not 20-year-old men from the third world. That's what she said. That's what she said. She'd be a pariah today in the Democrat Party, because the Democrat Party has lost all sense of responsibility, all of its moorings. Go ahead.
Under the Commission's recommendations, then, professionals with at least a baccalaureate degree and skilled, experienced workers would qualify. We have come to firm conclusions, however, on one aspect of the temporary worker policy. The Commission believes that a large-scale agricultural guest worker program, sometimes referred to as a revisiting of the Bracero Agreement, is not in our national interest. We unanimously and strongly believe that such a program would be a grievous mistake.
Now listen to that. John McCain used to run around and talk about we need immigrants in this country to pick lettuce, is what I think he said. Who else is going to pick lettuce? And here you can see Barbara Jordan saying, on behalf of the Commission in 1995, the worst thing we can do is bring in temporary workers who work in agriculture. It's the worst thing we can do. And yet this is what the Chamber of Commerce in the United States pushes for. This is what our friend Lindsey Graham pushes for. This is now what the Democrat Party uniformly pushes for. The poorer, the better. The more illiterate, the better. The more people can get into the welfare system, the better. Because they're voters, eventually. What did I just say at the top of this segment? The left does what's expedient for itself. We conservatives are trying to defend and promote our founding principles. Go ahead.
I urge private industry, churches, community groups, volunteer groups, individuals to redouble their efforts to provide English language instruction and civics education to immigrants.
Now, see, she's pushing for assimilation. English and civics. When is the last time you heard Chuck Schumer say that? When is the last time you heard Bernie Sanders say that? When is the last time you've heard any of these so-called journalists who are providing their opinions, their radical left opinions, or any of their guests say the same thing? Learn English and learn civics in America. They don't. Go ahead.
I remind immigrants that they too have a responsibility.
Now wait. That's the first time I've heard that in years. You mean the people marching to our border who, Barbara Jordan, are illegal aliens trying to get into the country once they do? They have a responsibility too? Really? Wow. Go ahead.
They have responsibility to embrace the common core of American civic culture,
wow,
civic values, and institutions.
Wow, stop right there. You're coming into this country, put the damn flag down from your other country that you say you're escaping because it sucks. You're coming into our country, you pick up our flag. You embrace our culture. You embrace our language. Otherwise, what's the point? That's what she's saying. It's such common sense. But when you're dealing with a political party that tells you that your biological genitalia really is not a determinant of what your genitalia is, it's what your mind thinks it is, you know we're dealing with a collectively, truly sick operation here. Go ahead. Well, that's it. Now, some of the news people out there, they like to claim they're for news by attacking Trump, you see. That way they can show that they're truly objective. They're not partisan, you know. What we need to understand, ladies and gentlemen, is that the media as a collective supports illegal immigration. That the media as a collective supports socialism. That the media as a collective supports the evisceration of the United States military. That the media as a collective supports the Democrat Party. That the media as a collective supports activist judges. That the media as a collective supports the attack on American history. What else do you take from this? And they go on about freedom of the press, like you and I are somehow threatening freedom of the press, like Donald Trump is somehow threatening of the freedom of the press. It was John Adams, one of our truly great founders, and his party, the Whigs, that passed the Alien and Sedition Act, with emphasis on the sedition part, who locked up reporters, so-called, or threatened them. It was Woodrow Wilson in 1918, I bet you didn't know, that he and his party pushed through another Sedition Act in 1918. Because we know the left and the Democrats are such supporters of liberty and individualism in the Constitution. It wasn't Trump. And we could go on. It was Barack Obama who sicked the FBI on the AP and Fox News and the New York Times. James Risen and James Rosen. Oh, yes. Trump merely calls them out for what they are. And he calls them out by name. Nobody can seriously conclude that Don Lemon is any kind of journalist or reporter. He's a buffoon. Nobody can seriously argue that Brian Stelter is any kind of reporter or journalist. He's a buffoon. And you go right down the list. Right down the list. Now, you'll notice We've almost finished our second hour, 2/3 of the program, and I've been discussing the same general topic for 2 hours. Immigration, illegal immigration, the Democrats, the media, the President of the United States. It takes that long to sort this out. That is the benefit of this format. This format, in my view, is not how many issues can I hit in 3 hours and how many guests can I have in 3 hours. That's not it. You got to dig into a subject. That's why this is such an outstanding format. Dig into it and unravel it. And look how much, those of you who've stayed with us for the last 2 hours, look how much we've gone through. Look at all the hypocrites we've exposed. Look at the media we've exposed. Look at the information you've received, the facts and the statistics. This is very, very important. We have an election coming up in 2 weeks. There's a great deal at stake. The one man, the President of the United States, who controls the executive branch, is trying to protect us, trying to do the right thing. And they want to destroy him. And if they take the House, they're not just interested in changing policies. They're interested in destroying the President of the United States, destroying his businesses, destroying his family. They're going to block everything he wants to do. You know who's rooting for the Democrats to win this election? China, Russia, Iran, Cuba, North Korea. They are rooting for the Democrat Party to win the House. They are rooting for impeachment. They're rooting for the Democrat policies. Soft on foreign policy. Soft on the United States military. Appeasement in the face of aggression. You know who else is rooting for the Democrats? Hamas. That's right, I said it. Hezbollah. Syria. Obama didn't go into Syria and blow up those gas sites. That was Trump who did that. Obama didn't move the Israeli embassy to Jerusalem. It was Trump who did that. All the enemies that we have, everyone I can think of, is rooting for the Democrats to take the House. Are rooting for the Democrats to take the House. Democrats to take it. Now, I know my words will be twisted by the Soros-funded, the Steyer-funded, the left-wing billionaires-funded front groups and think tanks and media sites. Who gives a crap? Sometimes you got to stand for something, and you have to speak out. That's what my parents taught me. And as it gets harder and harder to speak out, as your opponents are more and more poisonous and vicious, you need to speak out more. And you need to stand up more. You have every reason to vote in 2 weeks. But you must bring friends, family, and coworkers with you. Otherwise, we're going to lose. This election isn't on Trump's head. It's on our head. Our collective head. It's up to we the people. If we're going to tolerate this. No branch of the federal government should be ceded to these hardcore leftists. No branch of the federal government. Don't take any solace in these arguments, well, we'll hold the Senate and they'll get the House. BS! They shouldn't get the House. They shouldn't get the Senate. They shouldn't get the local dog catcher. I'll be right back. Joe Scarborough is really a lowlife. I don't know how else to put it. He's a lowlife, in my view, in his personal life. He's a lowlife on TV. He's just a lowlife. And that's why MSLSD gives him a job, because MSLSD is known to hire lowlifes. The whole lineup is a bunch of clowns and miscreants and malcontents. Not a very pretty sight, I might add. So there he is. The morning schmo with his bulbous nose, looks like the guy that sits on the bridge in Deliverance. We've talked about that before. There he is, and what does he have to say that's so brilliant? Cut 10, go.
I want to read this. This is referencing nobody.
Stop. So he wants to read something that references nobody, which means he's referencing Trump, because he's obsessed with Trump. He's obsessed with Trump. He's got a man crush on Trump. I understand Mika's even jealous. Go ahead.
Please, my beloved viewers out there, do not...
My beloved viewers. You like listening to my show, you clown? Of course you do. Your beloved viewers. It's like the people at the reptile house. They hate your guts, but they want to watch. They want to watch the snake eat the mouse. Go ahead.
Draw a parallel between what is said here and anybody, living or dead, past or present. That would hurt me.
He's so clever. Don't draw a parallel, wink, wink. No, don't draw a parallel, wink, wink. I'm just reading this for our own edification. Go ahead.
Hurt me very deeply, and you don't want to hurt me deeply. I don't want to weep on this show. So this doesn't relate to anybody.
Is this guy a psycho or what? Go ahead.
It's just... I was going through reams and reams and volumes. I love World War II. And
which side do you love, by the way? Go ahead.
Old fan, love what Rosa. So I was reading this. It's from the United States Office of Strategic Services in describing Hitler's psychological profile, and this only pertains to Adolf Hitler and pertains to nobody else. I just can't state that enough. But this is what they had for Adolf Hitler's psychological profile. And for those of you in the midst of reading World War II government reports, you'll find it fascinating.
Enough. I was too late off the block here. Basically, he's comparing Trump to Hitler while he's claiming he's not. This guy is a complete a-hole. Ladies and gentlemen, we salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, and emergency personnel. We have a great Levin TV tonight. I hope you'll check us out. Just call 844-LEVIN-TV and have a wonderful evening. I'll see you tomorrow.